Welcome to another episode of Peep Hell Pod. Today, we are doing a deep dive into a story that, honestly, it almost defies belief.
Yeah, it really does.
Imagine, spending a decade as the secret genius behind some of the world's biggest pop hits, right?
Right, just completely behind the scenes.
Exactly. You were this architect in the shadows, writing anthems for Rihanna, Ariana Grande, Pitbull, Fifth Harmony.
Huge names.
Massive.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, your own solo career is widely considered just a total commercial failure.
Yeah, you're entirely sidelined as an artist.
Right. But instead of just fading out, you completely reinvent yourself. You bet everything on a new persona, you win multiple Grammys, and just when you have finally claimed your crown,
You
vanish from your own tour.
It sounds exactly like a Hollywood script, honestly, but the reality is much more intense.
Oh, absolutely.
And the most staggering part of all of this, just days ago, on June 25, 2026, this very same artist made a miraculous return to music.
Which is incredible.
It is, especially because she was recovering from a life-saving double lung transplant.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for you listening today, this isn't just a timeline of a musical comeback,
No, not at all.
This is a literal, physical story of human survival. We are talking about an artist who beat a system designed to chew creatives up and then had to beat her own failing biology.
Yeah, it's a profound story.
I was thinking about this earlier, and her journey is basically like a star athlete who gets benched in their rookie season, right?
That's a great way to look at it.
So they pivot, they become an elite coach for 10 years, helping everyone else win championships.
Right.
And then, like a decade later, they walk back onto the field, put on a new jersey, and win the MVP for themselves.
That is exactly the dynamic at play here. And to understand how she pulled off that MVP return, we have to look at the rookie season first.
We do. We are talking about Muni Long.
Yes.
And for those who might not know, Muni is spelled M-U-N-I, pronounced like money.
Exactly. But long before the Grammys and the new name, she was born Priscilla Renea Hamilton.
Down in Florida, right?
Yeah, in a rural neighborhood called Gifford, which is just west of Vero Beach, Florida. She grew up in a military family. Her dad was in the Navy. And by all accounts, she was an incredibly shy kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very shy. She started singing in a church choir at age 2, but it wasn't until the early, Wild West days of YouTube that she actually found her footing.
The early YouTube era is such a fascinating incubator.
Oh, totally.
Because before the hyper-polished algorithms and the ring lights and the TikTok houses we have today, it was literally just teenagers making incredibly raw content in their bedrooms.
Yeah, there was no production budget.
None. But she had serious ingenuity. Like, she literally recorded videos of herself singing the dictionary.
Which is just wild to think about.
She would just open the book, pick a random definition, and improvise melodies on the spot.
Which, honestly, is a brilliant vocal exercise when you think about it.
Right.
It forces you to understand cadence and rhythm and melody, but without relying on conventional pop structures.
Yeah, she was training herself.
She really was. She also entered this contest back then by submitting a cover of Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River.
Oh, I remember those kinds of contests.
Yeah, the grand prize was getting to sing with him at the Grammys.
Did she win?
She actually lost that contest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the hustle worked because that raw talent attracted an audience of over 30,000 subscribers.
Which, I mean, in the mid-2000s internet ecosystem, that was a massive, highly engaged following.
Oh, it was huge. And that grassroots traction eventually landed her an appearance on MTV's Say What karaoke.
Okay, so she builds this organic fan base, she gets on MTV, and naturally, the major labels come knocking.
Of course they do.
This is where the machine steps in. In 2009, at 21 years old, she signs with Capitol Records under her birth name, Priscilla Renea.
Right.
This is supposed to be the dream realized, right? She puts out her debut studio album, Jukebox.
Featuring the single Dollhouse, yeah.
Yes, and what happens next is just the ultimate paradox of the music industry. The album is critically acclaimed.
Critics loved it.
They did. Billboard magazine praises her specifically for combining prose and poetry with Celtic beats. The critics totally get it. But commercially,
It was a disaster.
it is a catastrophic flop. She sells a mere 1,200 copies in her first week.
Wow. It failed to even crack the Billboard 200.
1,200 copies.
And we have to understand the mechanics of the music industry in 2009 to see why this is so devastating.
Right, because this was before streaming.
Exactly. This was before the streaming safety net existed. If a label spent a massive advance on your Studio time, your marketing, your physical CD distribution.
Natural CDs, yeah.
Right. And you only sold 1,200 copies. You became an immediate financial liability.
You are in debt to the label.
Heavily in debt. So they shelf you, they stop promoting you. You are given the harshest possible rejection by the market.
Which is usually where the Wikipedia page ends,
Yeah, normally that's the end of the story.
The artist gets dropped, they go back to Florida, and they find a new career. But how does a failed solo artist suddenly pivot to writing hits for the biggest stars on the planet?
It's a crazy pivot.
Because you don't just, email Rihanna and say, hey, I wrote a song for you.
Yeah.
What is the actual mechanism there?
It really comes down to music publishing deals and these things called songwriting camps.
Right.
When a label drops you as a solo act, if your pen is sharp enough, a publishing company might still retain you as a writer.
Ah, I see.
And they put you into these factory-like environments. A label will rent out a massive studio compound, fly in dozens of producers and writers, and just stick them in different rooms.
Like an assembly line?
Exactly like an assembly line. Their only job is to churn out hooks, melodies, and lyrics for top-tier artists who are about to record an album.
Wow.
So Priscilla stepped into these shadows and just weaponized her talent. She became a powerhouse ghostwriter for the exact industry that just rejected her.
And her resume from this era is completely staggering.
It really is.
She crosses every genre. She co-writes the UK #1 Promise This for Cheryl.
Yeah.
She writes California King Bed for Rihanna. She helps pen Fifth Harmony's Worth It.
Such a huge song.
Massive. She does Ariana Grande's Imagine and the inescapable global smash Timber by Pitbull.
You literally couldn't go anywhere without hearing Timber.
Impossible. Oh, and she even co-writes Miranda Lambert and Carrie Underwood's Grammy-nominated duet, Something Bad.
Right, which has a crazy afterlife.
Yeah, get this. NBC Sports later reworked that exact song into Oh, Sunday Night for the opening theme of Sunday Night Football.
It is an unbelievable catalog. I mean, she became the invisible architect of the 2010s pop landscape.
Okay, wait, I have to push back here because this is the part of the story I really struggle to wrap my head around.
Okay, go for it.
If you were writing hits like Timber, which was playing in every club, mall, and radio station on Earth, and you were getting those Sunday Night Football royalty checks every week.
You're doing very well.
You were set for life. So why on earth would you risk going back to being a solo artist?
Right.
Why not just stay rich, anonymous, and avoid the public scrutiny? That sounds like winning the lottery without having to pay the fame tax.
That is the logical assumption, right? That's what most people would do.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating here is that while the shadows were incredibly lucrative, they were actively destroying her.
Destroying her how?
Well, writing for others provided financial safety, sure, but she was dealing with intense trauma behind the scenes. She has been very open about the constant litigation she faced.
Oh, legal battles.
Yeah, brutal battles with toxic former management and just the emotional whiplash of label politics.
Which has to be exhausting.
It is. And those negative experiences actually became massive creative catalysts for her.
So the pain basically demanded an outlet.
Exactly. Think about it. When you are constantly pouring your own trauma, your own unfiltered truth into a song just to cope with your life,
Right.
and then you have to hand that song over to a pop star who doesn't share your story at all, it takes a profound psychological toll.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. You are basically selling pieces of your diary for someone else to perform.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. The need for authentic self-expression and ownership eventually outweighed the financial comfort of ghostwriting. She just couldn't be hollowed out anymore.
Wow. That reframes it entirely for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't about seeking fame, it was about reclaiming her own voice.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the major breaking point in 2018. After nearly a decade behind the scenes, she decides she is done giving her stories away.
Right.
So she self-releases an album called Colored. And she does this totally independent of the major label system, using a setup with 30 Tigers and her own imprint.
Yes, her own imprint.
Wait, let's pause there for a second. What exactly is an imprint? Because I hear that term in music documentaries all the time. Is it just like a fancy word for a vanity label?
No, it's a bit more functional than that. In the music business, an independent artist usually doesn't have the supply chain to get their music onto thousands of playlists, or into international storefronts, or pitched to radio.
It's too big of a job for one person.
Exactly. So 30 Tigers is an independent music distribution and management company. They essentially provide the plumbing.
The infrastructure.
Right. An imprint is basically a brand name or a trademark the artist creates to release the music under.
Okay, I see.
It gives her the structural appearance and the creative control of a label, meaning she retains ownership of her master recordings.
Which is huge.
Very huge. While 30 Tigers just handles the logistics of getting it out to the world.
That level of ownership is so crucial, especially for this specific album.
Yeah.
Because she titled it Colored, but she deliberately spelled it with a U.
Which was a very intentional choice.
Yeah. She explained that by adding the U, the word our appears right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
She took a term that carries deeply painful racial stigma in American history and attempted to reclaim it as a statement of inclusivity. NPR actually called it a consciously confrontational statement.
It was a very bold artistic risk, and the content of the album reflected that bravery, too. She wasn't writing party anthems for Pitbull anymore. She wrote a track called Family Tree, which was inspired by the trauma of being kicked out of her family's home as a teenager.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. Another song, Land of the Free, directly addresses the fear of police brutality and racial profiling. She really put her unfiltered life on the record.
But even with all that artistic growth, she was still operating as Priscilla Renea, right?
Yeah, the final transformation hadn't happened yet.
Right, the caterpillar was still in the chrysalis. It isn't until 2019 and 2020 that she completely rebrands. Priscilla Renea steps back, and Muni Long is born.
And it wasn't a small rebrand.
No, she didn't just change her Spotify name, she completely overhauled her visual identity. She worked with a celebrity stylist named Jason Rembert to create this striking avant-garde fashion identity.
Which was brilliant.
It was. She noted, very astutely, that how you are introduced to someone is the way they will remember you unless you are reintroduced.
That is so true. And that reintroduction was a psychological necessity for her.
How so?
She explicitly stated that this new persona was armor. Her exact words were, Renea is the protector of Priscilla.
Wow.
The rebranding is a masterclass in taking control of your own narrative, but it also ties into a much deeper neurological reality for her. She's been incredibly transparent about being diagnosed as autistic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And to survive in the ruthless music industry for a decade as a neurodivergent Black woman, she had to engage in heavy masking.
I see the term masking thrown around a lot lately, especially in discussions online about neurodivergence. But how exactly does that function in a high-stakes corporate music environment?
Well, masking is the conscious or unconscious suppression of natural autistic traits to blend in with neurotypical expectations.
So, like, hiding who you are.
Basically, it means constantly monitoring your tone of voice, forcing uncomfortable eye contact, suppressing the need to stim or self-soothe.
That sounds exhausting.
It's incredibly exhausting. You're essentially acting out a script of what is considered professional or acceptable. The cognitive load required to do that all day, every day, in rooms full of executives and pop stars. It leads to severe burnout.
Right.
So Muni Long became the protective shell so that the vulnerable person inside, Priscilla, could finally rest.
And she took full ownership of that shell. She founded her own label, Supergiant Records.
Yes.
She named it after the biggest type of star in the galaxy. She basically told the industry, I'm not asking for a seat at your table anymore. I've built my own.
And that absolute independence gave her the freedom to release exactly what she wanted, which leads to November 2021.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yes. She drops an 8-track EP titled Public Displays of Affection.
Such a good title.
It is. She said she was catching herself crying in the studio while writing it. She isn't naturally a very touchy-feely person, but she poured all of her intimate romantic feelings into this project.
And here's where the ultimate vindication happens. On that EP is a track called HRs and HRs.
Oh, yeah.
It starts getting a little traction, and then it hits the TikTok algorithm.
Which changes everything.
The mechanics of TikTok's virality are fascinating because it's so democratic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if users like the audio for their videos, it explodes regardless of label backing.
Oh, exactly.
HRs and HRs became a massive sleeper hit. It peaks in the top 20 of the Billboard Hot 100. This forces the major labels to come crawling back to her.
Oh, but they did.
She signs a new deal with Def Jam Recordings, but this time entirely on her own terms with her own imprint.
She had all the leverage.
All of it. And the cherry on top. That song wins the 2023 Grammy for Best R&B Performance.
The benched rookie came back and won the championship.
Exactly. And she proved it was absolutely not a fluke. She followed it up with the 2024 album Revenge, which lands her another massive smash, Made for Me.
Another huge hit.
Yeah, and that track wins her a second Grammy in 2025.
Yeah.
Her industry peers are finally recognizing her genius publicly. In March of 2025, Mariah Carey personally handpicks Muni Long to honor Carey at the iHeartRadio Music Awards.
With a tribute performance of We Belong Together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going from getting dropped after selling 1,200 copies to having Mariah Carey personally request you to sing her most iconic song in front of the entire industry. It is unbelievable.
It's an incredible high, but this is where the narrative shifts pretty drastically.
Yeah, from an industry triumph to a terrifying medical emergency.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the physical toll of getting to this peak cannot be ignored. Because as we mentioned earlier, the heavy masking and the chronic stress came with a severe biological cost.
The human toll here is profound. She explicitly connected her years of emotional repression and stress to the development of lupus.
Yes.
Now, I know lupus is a serious illness, but what is the actual biological mechanism there?
Yeah.
How does stress in a recording studio lead to a systemic disease?
Okay, so lupus is an autoimmune disease. Under normal circumstances, your immune system produces antibodies to fight off infections, like colds or viruses.
Right.
But when the body is subjected to chronic, unyielding stress like the kind from endless litigation, toxic management, and heavy neurodivergent masking over a decade, your cortisol levels stay permanently elevated.
Your body is just in constant fight-or-flight mode.
Exactly. And over time, that chronic stress dysregulates the immune system. It misfires. It starts producing autoantibodies, which literally attack the body's own healthy tissues and organs.
Oh, wow.
The joints, the skin, the kidneys, the lungs, the body literally keeps the score.
So her immune system was essentially breaking down under the weight of her survival in this industry.
Yes.
And all of this culminates in a terrifying climax between late 2025 and mid-2026. She is at the absolute zenith of her renewed fame, right?
Her career has never been hotter.
Exactly. In late 2025, she is on the Boy Is Mine tour, acting as a support act alongside Kelly Rowland for Brandy and Monica.
That's a massive celebration of R&B.
Massive.
Yeah.
But while on the road, she contracts severe pneumonia.
And for someone whose immune system is already compromised by lupus and by the immunosuppressive drugs often used to treat it, pneumonia isn't just a bad cough.
No, it's life-threatening.
It is severely life-threatening. It forced her to abruptly withdraw from the final tour dates.
Which had to be heartbreaking.
And the illness escalated so aggressively that it caused total organ failure in her lungs. She had to undergo a double lung transplant.
Okay, I really need to understand the mechanics of this because it sounds medically impossible for a professional singer to bounce back from that.
It's incredibly risky.
Because the lungs are literally the bellows for the vocal cords. How do you survive a double lung transplant and ever sing again? Doesn't the surgery itself put your voice at massive risk?
Oh, the risks to the voice are astronomical. During a transplant, the patient has to be intubated. A breathing tube is passed directly through the vocal folds.
Ouch.
Yeah, and if it stays in too long, it can cause severe scarring or paralysis of the cords.
So she could have lost her voice just from the tube.
Exactly. Furthermore, a double lung transplant requires opening the chest cavity entirely. The recurrent laryngeal nerve, which controls the vocal cords, it runs all the way down into the chest cavity near the lungs and heart before looping back up to the larynx.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so the surgical risk of accidentally severing or damaging that nerve is incredibly high. If that nerve is damaged, you lose your voice.
Is one slip.
Add in the fact that the phrenic nerve, which controls the diaphragm, the main muscle you need for breath support, can also be impacted.
And even if you survive the surgery with all the nerves intact, you are put on heavy anti-rejection medications for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
Just fighting to breathe normally and walk up a flight of stairs. Yet, despite all of those astronomical medical hurdles, she did it.
She really did.
Just last week, on June 25, 2026, she made a miraculous return to music. She didn't just survive, she kept her instrument intact.
It speaks to a level of internal fortitude that is rare in any human being, let alone an entertainer. From being kicked out of her home as a teen, to surviving the vicious cycle of the music business, to literally surviving her own body failing her. She has had to fight for every single breath she takes, metaphorically and literally.
So what does this all mean? Muni Long's story is absolute proof that reinvention isn't just about changing your clothes or, hiring a new stylist.
Right.
It is about reclaiming your right to exist on your own terms. When she named her label Supergiant after the biggest star in the galaxy, she wasn't just being arrogant. It was completely prophetic.
Prophetic is the perfect word for it.
Her return last week proves that both her voice and her spirit are completely unbreakable. But I want to leave you with a different thought today looking forward.
Okay.
We just spent this entire time talking about the hidden geniuses, the shadow architects like Priscilla Renea, who grind behind the scenes, writing the soundtrack to our lives.
Right.
But today, we are on the precipice of AI music generation. Algorithms can now churn out pop hooks, melodies, and lyrics in seconds.
It's true. It's moving fast.
If artificial intelligence takes over those ghostwriting rooms, will the shadow architects of tomorrow ever get the financial runway or the industry access to eventually become a Muni Long?
That's a scary thought.
We might lose an entire generation of authentic voices before they ever get the chance to step into the light and sing their own stories. Thanks for listening to PPL Pod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.